Welcome, everybody. My name is Alex, and I will host this session today. So I'm really pleased to introduce this topic. Today we are going to talk about digitalization and collaboration between organizations working with homelessness. And to talk about it, we invite speakers working for European organizations, and we will have a roundtable. We will spend about an hour to talk about it together. So I would just very shortly, briefly introduce myself and my organization, and after that I will let the speakers introduce themselves and their project. I will also there's Daniel here who assists me for the questions. So you can use the chat and the questions to ask all the questions you want. You can write it down, and we will answer to your questions just after the roundtable, so at the end of the session. So just to introduce myself, so my name is Alexandra Lefeivre, and in charge of the communication for Solinum organization. Solinum is a French non-profit organization that innovates to fight against poverty. And so today, as I told you, we are going to have a roundtable about digitalization and social innovation. So I'm really, really pleased to welcome 5 speakers working for non-profit organizations. So I will let them introduce themselves. We just share a document up so that you can see. I think it's working. So first of all, I would like to introduce to you Coralie with Reconnect. So you can present yourself and your project.
Okay. So hello, everyone. Nice to meet you and to be part of this discussion. So I'm Coralie. I'm a Grand Est region manager for Reconnect. So Reconnect is a non-profit organization also, which develops digital services to facilitate social inclusion of the most vulnerable population. Those adapted digital tools aim at fighting against non-take-up of social rights. So the organization has first developed itself in the Parisian region and then opened 7 new local branches to be more close to our local partners. And our activities are based on an observation from the reality is that the loss of personal documents adds to the vicious circle of the homeless people. Indeed, people that live in precarious conditions face high risk of losing or having their personal documents stolen. That leads, in France, for 40% of them to not receive any assistance, even if they have the right to. The loss of their documents and the complexity of the dematerialized procedures are one of the reason for this situation. So that's why we developed a digital safe, which is a cloud, but very particular for the social field. So this cloud is an online space that can be consulted for any device which is equipped with internet. And it allows those people to keep safe all the administrative documents, passwords, contacts, or any necessary data which is important for the social inclusion path. And these documents, if they want to, can be shared instantly with the social worker in order to facilitate the administrative procedures. More generally, we work in the inclusion digital field, so we accompany our partners and the people to use those tools. That's it.
Okay, thank you. So now Fritjof with Integrate.
Well, thank you, and good morning from Augsburg, Germany. My name is Fritjof, and I work at the non-profit organization Tür an Tür here in Augsburg, Germany. And with our team of roughly 20 employees and around the same number of volunteers, we develop digital tools to support the most marginalized and vulnerable in our society. We started off with an open source integration platform from municipalities for refugees and migrants. Integrate was launched in 2015 at a time when thousands seek refuge in Germany and Europe, as we probably all remember, and has since been implemented by every 6th German municipality. Each implementation is a collaborative effort by the municipal government, local integration institutions, representatives of migrant communities, and us as the technological partner. The content that is displayed on Integrate is created by those experts on site, and they really create the first transparent overview of all processes, support services, and participation opportunities for refugees and migrants. This content is translated into various languages and pushed out to all newcomers via the Integrate app and website. The goal of Integrate is to reduce information poverty for all newcomers arriving in the city. And while Integrate is still our biggest project and the project with which everything started, we are currently developing an open source vocabulary trainer for newcomers, exploring the idea on how Integrate could be remodeled to support the homeless in Germany, where we are currently looking for a set of pilot cities to prototype and test with. And I'm really excited to get the opportunity today to share our experiences and talk with all of you about social innovation.
Thank you very much. And now Sergio with the PENSA organization.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sergio, and I work for FEANSA. And well, first of all, thank you to Solinum for inviting us to participate in this event. And firstly, I would like to introduce a little bit what FEANSA is. FEANSA is the European Federation of National Organizations working with the homeless. We are the only European NGO focusing exclusively on the fight against homelessness, with over 100 members from 28 European countries. And in the next slides, I will show some of the findings of this policy paper about digital inclusion, which will be published very soon. If you can pass the slide. Okay, perfect. Yes, so, well, first of all, regarding the challenges, firstly, it is very important to know that most of the people in homelessness are not completely offline. Like, instead, they face some challenges or that are barriers, actually, when trying to move online, like, for example, affordability, lack of charging stations, or lack of appropriate equipment within homeless service providers. But, however, we have been able to identify the following benefits when homeless people and services use ICT. Some of these benefits are hereby in this slide. For example, access to information, thanks to apps like Copenhelp in Denmark or Soliguide from our colleagues here of Solinum. Better social welfare, for example, WhatsApp, social networks can be tools to fight isolation, which is extremely harsh for people in homelessness, and in the case of migrants, to communicate with relatives, or even improved access to medical care. Okay, now next slide. Yeah, and finally, in order to overcome these identified challenges and to ensure that digital transition also benefit people in homelessness, we drafted several policy recommendations. For example, establish funding mechanisms at European national level to provide people in institution with devices and other tools, like, for example, connectivity, charging points, etc. Fund and conduct more research on how digital inclusion can affect people facing social exclusion, homeless people included. And finally, coordinate and establish partnerships between governments, tech sector, and civil society organizations working with people in the institution.
Thank you very much, Sergio. And Carmen, if you can present now, merci pour l'invite.
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Carmen. Nice to meet you. I'm the Merci pour l'invite manager. Merci pour l'invite is a citizens' housing device for homeless women, where individuals can play a part in helping a woman in a precarious situation by offering her a space in their home. It can be a room or an entire apartment or just a sofa bed for a period going to 15 days to several months and up to 1 year. And the association connects these individuals with the woman. The aim of this project is to offer a temporary and stable shelter to these women to allow them to rest and to progress in their procedures. Citizen housing is a springboard to reintegration. Merci pour l'invite was born in 2018 and is currently deployed in Île-de-France, which includes Paris, and in Nantes and Bordeaux. The woman entering the program must respect several criteria, such as having a social follow-up by a social worker, to be sure that these women have a social support towards a reintegration process. The second criterion is not having any addiction or several psychological disorders. And the last one is being in a legal situation in France or able to be regularized. These women are referred to us by social structures with whom we work in a co-construction approach which makes the system more secure for all the stakeholders. Today, Merci pour l'invite is only host to women because they are more vulnerable and more exposed to violence. Women represent like 40% of the homeless population, and the existing emergency shelters are mostly for men or for mixed population. So our device provides a safer solution for this woman.
Okay, thank you. And to finish the presentation, Victoria for Soliguide.
Yes, sorry, I had my microphone off. So hello, I'm Victoria, the founder of Solinum, which carries both the project Merci pour l'invite that Carmen just told you about, and Soliguide. So Soliguide is the first project that I funded in Solinum while I was a volunteer. And because so many times people on the street would ask me easy questions like where can I eat tonight, shower, and so on. And to these easy questions, I had no easy answer, partly because social work is very fragmented and poorly coordinated in France. And the issue is that for those people, also people that are homeless and that are relying on social help, this lack of transparency in the social sector, it has really dire consequences. So first, obviously, when someone asks me where to shower and I can't answer them, or I give them the wrong information, the first impact is that this person will not be able to shower this day. But it goes a little bit deeper, because when given the wrong information time and time again, people will start to lose faith and they will gradually stop trying. So it's really important for homeless people to get the right information. And the next thing I was shocked to find out when I started this was that even local governments had no clue about what existed or not. And how can you propose useful public policies when you don't even know what's in your territory? So that's why I launched SoliGuide, and it's the first cartography of solidarity in France, which references all the useful places for people that are in a difficult situation. So it can go from food to shower to legal help to social welfare and so on. And so a person can go on soliguide.fr, on mobile application, interactive kiosk, or even paperless, and they can find a nearby place to eat, shower, professional support, and so many things. So in the last 4 years, we have mapped more than 10,000 places, I think, and we allowed more than almost 500,000 searches in 2020. So right now we are available in 12 French counties, and we are quite proud of the social impact, because by providing guidance to people that are in a difficult situation, it goes beyond just informing them. We directly improve the living conditions, and we facilitate their reintegration. Lastly, during the COVID crisis, SoliGuide has kind of exploded. So we registered a spike of 500% more searches in SoliGuide. So that was quite something. And we believe that the crisis is not over, and that there will be a lot more people in a difficult situation following this pandemic. And that's why with SoliGuide, we are committed to bringing more information to people in the years to come. And that's why I believe that the work of all the people that are here today is so, so important.
Okay, thank you. So we're just on time to start this roundtable. So I'm going to ask questions to the speakers. And to start, I would like to ask Sergio from Fianza Federation. Can you give us an overview of homelessness in Europe, and maybe if you can explain the disparities between the different countries?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, it is very important to know that regarding the numbers of homelessness, there is a lack of comparable and reliable data at a European level, because different countries have different kinds of measure or definitions of homelessness. So yeah, it's very there is a lack of official data and comparable data between European countries. However, in Fianza, we estimate that in any given night in Europe, around 700,000 people face homelessness. And also, very recently, according to Eurostat, 4 out of every 100 people in Europe have reported to have experienced at least once in their lifetime homelessness. And the numbers in the last 10 years have increased all across Europe. So it's very really European wide problem and problematic. And it will increase even more after this pandemic, we think. The only exception is the case of Finland, which could reduce the number of homelessness by 32% between 2015 and 2019. And this shows that with the adequate political commitment and funding, homelessness can actually be reduced. And regarding the solutions, it is important to also consider that there is no one-size-fits-all policy recommendations for homelessness. However, we in Fianza suggest to change how the current systems, the mainstream current system in Europe works. Right now, the focus of the policy attention is based on these emergency measures, for example, night shelters, temporary accommodation, etc. And the scientific evidence suggests that what works better is to work firstly on prevention of homelessness, and then on housing-led solutions, and not so much on this step of emergency accommodation, which should be ideally very, very, very small and very, very detailed, not for the main policy response. And the most successful practice in this case is the housing first model. It's been successful in many countries, especially in Finland. That's also one of the reasons why they could reduce homelessness. And this model is very simple. It's just to provide housing as the first resource for everyone, and then work with specific needs in case these people have them, like for example mental health or economic problems or etc. But this should be a right for everyone, a right to housing, and to have this right for everyone in Europe.
Okay, that's it. Interesting because Carmen, with Merciful Invite, you promote the housing first concept. You designed the project to fill a void between emergency solutions and also inclusion programs. So how do you link the different stakeholders in your project?
Yes, the link is I think created by involving all the stakeholders in the process, who are the citizen host and the women's social workers and the hosted women. And thanks to Merci pour l'Invite team, who are real intermediaries for this part. And by the strong assistance and follow-up of the Merci pour l'Invite team, we ensure that each part is informed of how the accommodation is going, as well as the progress of the hosted woman in her procedures. And I think in that way, everyone is and feels involved in the device. For example, while the hosted woman is sheltered at the citizen house, in a regular basis, we are checking with the social workers the progress and of the ongoing and the future formalities for the woman. So yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you. And same question for you, Coralie, for Reconnect. How do you build partnerships when you arrive in a new area, for instance? And second questions, I think you also have a project with digital relays. Can you explain to the participant what is it and how it works?
Oh, sorry, my microphone was off. Yes, of course. I think it's important maybe first to say what is it, digital relay. It's how we function today. A digital relay is an existing medico-social facility which has made the choice to use the Reconnect tools and propose it to the people who use their facilities. Those digital relays already have actions with people in precarious situation, and we'll rely on them to spread our solution and propose it to the people. The professional working in those facilities can create digital safe for the people who want it, and help him become familiar with the tool. And they also can have access to the digital safe of the people and to the documents the people give them access to. So that's how it is working with the digital relay. And so how we create link when we arrive in a new area, we just link up with organizations that have the same state of mind as us and are willing to move a little bit the situation and to go forward. So I think of Solinum. When I arrived in Strasbourg, that the first organization with who I spoke, and it helped me a lot because they know how the territory works. They know the different actors, and yes, that's just that. And we rely on the key players of the territory, like some big non-profit organization we work with, and that like what we do, they promote it around them, and that's a little bit how it works. So yes, our goal today is to create a big network of relays because the more the solution we develop is used, the more it is effective, and the more it allows the continuity of the integration pathways of the people.
Okay, and talking about network, Fritjof, for your project, you told us in your presentation that you reach more than 65 cities, I think, in 5 years. So how do you provide support to your partners? How do you help them to take a full advantage of your solution?
Yeah, Germany is, I don't want to say unique, but for sure it is different in comparison to other countries. When we piloted Integrate in Augsburg, it was quite easy because we were here on site and we were able to reach out to the various organizations who are involved in the field of integration. So we have a lot of different and big social organizations, and that's a good thing. That's certainly a good thing, but it certainly makes it was quite a challenge to scale what we were able to do in Augsburg to all those other municipalities. But what we found out was that the municipal government was really a constant, a fixture which we could always rely on, because they were always involved in the local field of integration. So they are our main contact point when we scale Integrate. And put that into perspective, so we have Germany, then we have 16 federal states, and then we have a total of 401 municipalities below them. And those 401 municipalities are our direct partners. And those are the ones we coordinate the implementation of the local Integrate app with. And they invite the local social organizations, the local community representatives, in order to really make the local Integrate implementation a collaborative effort. And that is really the way how we were able to kind of outsource the process of content creation, but we did it because we believe that's the best way for the setting we find in Germany, as the experts are already on site and we train them to use our digital editorial systems by themselves, but we are always there if they have any questions. We have a set of workshops that we do with them, so that in the end, when Integrate is launched in a city, it really is a transparent overview in various languages to really support all newcomers arriving in that city and really cover all types of topics, from housing to work-related issues to learning the language. Yeah.
Okay. I would like to ask a question now to Victoria with Soliguide. You told us that you include your partner organizations in the constructions of the tools. Can you explain us how that it works and how do you do that?
Yeah, of course. So it's really important for us to keep a local mindset. Right now we are in 12 countries, but we don't want to just develop something that was made somewhere else and tada is going to work wonder. That's not how it works. So every time we implement ourselves in a new country, what we do is that we are going to have a local governance. So we have local groups with institutional partners and also local groups with people that are working on the field. And we just ask them what we should do. They are the ones who decide which categories are going to be priority on the development, because we have like 50 different categories, from food to hygiene to legal help to French classes and so on. So we can't do everything at once. So they are the ones who tell us, okay, so in this territory, the real difficulty right now is, for example, French classes. So that's what we're going to start with. And they have a lot of decision power in the local scale of the development of the guide. That's something that's really important for us. And next, in the more tech part, we have a great team at Soinim that always has a very a very good approach on the field. And so they ask of everyone, how is it working for you? How can we make it better? And I think what's really important in the development of digital tools is always to involve all the stakeholders. So that means homeless people, people that live in difficulty, also social workers, volunteers, local government, so that it can be useful to everyone. And that's how we have the new ideas, new functionalities, and that's how we prioritize them.
Okay, thank you. I have a question because I'm not sure, but it seems that SoliGuide and Integrate it's kind of the same tools, but it seems that you have different approaches, notably in the terms of collection and to upload the information. So first of all, Victoria, can you explain to us why did you choose to internalize the referencing of the information for SoliGuide?
Yeah, so yeah, Integrate and SoliGuide are basically the same, but Integrate is more like for migrants right now, and but we are so happy to have like German cousins. So I think what Integrate told us earlier was very true. Germany is unique, and we are not so lucky in France. So one of the difficulties we had was that in France, local governments are complicated. So you have cities, of course, but they don't have the power of everything in the social field. It's more in the county that have this social skill, but they are not that close to the field. So it's really complicated. And also you have a certain regions in France, in the metropolitan area. And so we have so many stakeholders, it's really complicated. And not one of them was able at the beginning to do the work themselves. So we were not able to outsource. And the next thing is that for us, quality is non-negotiable for the quality of information, because we have seen it firsthand. When I give bad information, wrong information to someone on the street, it has awful consequences. So we cannot negotiate on the quality, we have to check it. So that's why we decided to internalize it. So we have a team that is trained, that has everything in place to be able to do this work and have a database that is complete, that is very precise. So it's not about having just the address and the hours. You have to know what are the public that you can accept in this structure or not. You have to know precisely what are the services. And also you have to keep it updated. It's really easy to make a database. It is not that easy to keep it updated. So what we did is that first we have this internalized team, and thanks to that we are able to develop our tech tools to be able to make it easier as a work to create and maintain the database, and also to be able to check it. What we want to do someday is to become like Integrate and be able to outsource it, because we don't think we are able to scale if we keep on having more and more employees. That's not going to be a good thing. So we really want to outsource, but we want to give our partners no chance. They have to keep it with an excellent quality, and that's why we pour a lot of investment in the tech part.
Okay, and Fritjof, do you want maybe to explain it, add something about it and about your business model and approach for Integrate?
Yeah, I think we found a situation in Germany which is quite fortunate for the way we set up our project, because I think we are just a little bit lucky to find municipal governments in Germany who are highly motivated, both intrinsic but also by law. It is their task to support the integration process of migrants. And so they are really thankful that we provide them with an easy to use tool to gather all relevant information and translate it. And that is something that they've been challenged with for years, and Integrate is an answer. So they're like highly motivated to take what we call like platform ownership for that local integrate implementation. And if they invite local social organizations and other actors in the field, they are going to respond. They're going to join, because municipal governments are also like budget providers in some case, or in many cases. And they are also the budget providers for Integrate. So our business model works that municipal governments can either use our open source platform by themselves, but that has much higher costs associated with just like paying a small yearly fee. That's a 4-digit number, and they get our personal support. And so Integrate is financed by those 70 municipalities who are already using Integrate or about to launch their Integrate app. And we don't really came up with the idea to charge municipalities. At the beginning, we were a fully volunteering project, and it was free of charge in the early months of the project. And then the first city asked if they could have a contract, a cooperation agreement, to ensure that Integrate was there down the road. And then that was the starting point for our nonprofit to be founded and the first contract to be drawn up. And that contract is now in place for 5 years, I think. And then we offered this contract to all other municipalities. So it's a little bit strength in numbers. And really the crucial role in Germany are the municipal governments. They finance the project, but they also coordinate the content creation and the updating, which Victoria said is so crucial. And one of our main objectives is how can we ensure that content is quickly updated and not by ourselves, because what we're doing right now, and that plays right into what Victoria said, pandemic related issues are currently for a year now are coordinated by ourselves. So we do it, we translate them, we push it out automatically to these local integrate apps. But yeah, I think the business model with 70 plus contracts really helps us to be also independent from public funding, which we had at some time, but now being financed, like making revenues really, it gives us room to grow and further strengthen our platform. Yeah.
Okay, and you were talking about the refugees now. You are more working towards them. Is there in the business model? Is there something that changes, and the way you also form the partnerships? Is there any changes with the evolution for Integrate?
Yeah. So what we are currently doing is that there were some changes in the field of integration, especially or the asylum process for refugees arriving. So they are now forced to stay in larger reception facilities once they arrive in Germany in many states. And we were not able to reach them anymore with Integrate, because 5 years ago they would arrive in cities and the municipal governments were responsible. And now that's not just the case anymore. So we partnered with a large social organization called the Echavarria, who operate reception facilities. And what we did was we took the Integrate technology and built a separate app for those reception facilities, which is then operated by the Echavarria. So they are now the platform owners. They are funded by federal governments and municipal governments. So we have a separate app out there to reach asylum seekers. And because we found that although Integrate was really built for refugees at first, the municipalities said, all right, we do not only want to inform refugees, but all migrants coming to our city, and expand the languages that we offer. And now we with the new app, which is called Malte, kind of short for Malteser, we are able to reach refugees again. And we want to try that out again with using Integrate's technology for new people. So as we have, and Sergio said that we do not know how many homeless people we have in Germany. We expect to have over 650,000, but that is an estimate. But 2/3 of those are people with a refugee background. So if we do want to implement an information platform for the homeless in Germany, we would need something that is multilingual again, and that is the core strength of Integrate. So maybe have a different application in the front end, but again, we want to use integrated technology to support the group of homeless, and that's why we're really glad to get the word out there here today that we believe Integrate in Germany with our context and the way we set up Integrate could be replicated to help the homeless as well.
Okay, thank you for your answer. I would like now to ask a question to Carmen with Merci pour l'invite. I think you just started a shift in your project, right? So you want to extend your support and you want to develop a box tools to share with other organizations. Can you just explain and tell us about it? And also, how do you include and integrate the partners in this development?
Yes, that's right. At the moment, the aim is to formalize, as you said, a toolbox that can be used by the other stakeholders. Our tools, such as the process, the convention, or the platform, Merci pour l'invite, will be shared to help structures to set up housing independently. In that way, more accommodation may take place and more stakeholders will be able to set them up. And that's why at the moment we are in discussions with SINGA, which is a French association in citizen housing for refugees. And we are trying to launch a federation with the different stakeholders of citizen housing for to democratize this project.
Okay, thank you. Coralie, Reconnect also works as a tool that can be integrated actually in other projects. Can you tell us about it? And the second question, Reconnect is part of the SOS group. So I would like to know how you take part in the European vision, because it's a big and international group. So how do your project is taking part of it?
Okay. So for your first question, as I said before, we work with digital relays function. So that's how our tool is integrated in the work of the different medico-social facilities. It's just a tool to make their work easier for the workers, and also to give awareness and to educate the more vulnerable part of the population to the digital, which is now everywhere and more in France. When you want to have paper or something, you now have to use the internet, and that's why we don't want those people that are the more far from the digital now to be cutted in their path, the social path. So that's how it's integrated in other projects. And how do we integrate ourselves in the European vision of the SOS group? So yes, we are part of this group. We share support function and we rely on their expertise today because they have a lot of facilities in France, like social structures, medico-social structures, and they really have the knowledge of the field. They know how it works, so that's why we rely on them. I think today our mission and our goal have no boundaries because the subject and the fact is general. We all want to help and make the social field better how we can. So it not only concerns France. We don't have the goal to be present in all the European countries, but we already work in France and in Belgium and Canada more recently, because we were approached by actors and collectivities. Because they have the same needs, and they think that our tool can help them. So yes, as I said today, our goal is not to be present in all the countries of Europe. First of all, to be good present in France and have a good network. But we are considering the other possibilities to grow in Europe. But we are more in the logic to share our expertise to projects that would like to launch something like this in other countries. So if it is something that can interest people in other countries, we can talk and just give them the feedback of our experience, because the tool we develop is from 5 years ago, but we are still improving it with the workers in the social field, but also with the people we are able to meet on the field. So yes, that's our vision today.
Okay, thank you. So we arrive at the end of this roundtable. So to conclude with it, I would like to ask Sergio with the Federation. As you exposed at the very beginning of the talk, there's a lot of challenges currently at the European scale, and there's a great debate starting again around social cohesion. So can you tell us how do your federation take part of this dialogue, and how do you bring together different local projects around a common European social vision?
Yes, so indeed, very recently there has been increasing attention at the European level, and yeah, I will explain a little bit more this point. And also, I think, yeah, I could answer the question made by Oscar Planels, yeah, about a European-wide legislative initiative. Yes, so for example, at the level of the European Commission. Recently, they have launched their action plan to implement the European Pillar of Social Rights, which was announced in Gothenburg 3 years ago, but didn't have an action plan yet. And now it has one, and specifically the Principle 19 covers housing and assistance for the homeless. So we expect that it can be a tool for national governments and for European also initiatives and projects to fight against homelessness. These are the level of the European Commission. The level of the European Parliament, there has been also a focus very recently on attention on homelessness. For example, there has been a report on decent and affordable housing for all, and another one on tackling the homelessness rates in the European Union. I will show the links afterwards. And also at the level of the European Council, and more also the political level, ministerial, we have very high expectations about the European platform on combating homelessness, which will be launched on the 21st of June in Lisbon. And yeah, the results will be a ministerial political level declaration. But also we expect it to be a platform to combat homelessness and to make policies even more present in the next years. And well, how do we, regarding the question of how do we represent these local projects, and also how do we reach them with a European vision? Well, that is basically our work in FEANSA. We have continuous dialogue with our members in cities and regions, but also with the European institutions. And our activities, what we do is raising awareness about homelessness, advocate for better and more policies to tackle this issue, and We also do training to our members on how they can improve their services, experience exchanges, etc., and also, of course, awareness raising. And yeah, right now I will share some of the links regarding all these European initiatives, and we really hope that the next decade can be an opportunity for European countries and also European Union institutions to tackle homelessness.
Okay, thank you very much. So this is the end of this roundtable. That was really inspiring, and thank you very much for sharing this experience with us. Now I think there are some questions. So Daniel is going to ask them to you. We don't hear you, Daniel. No. No. So I'm going to check the questions. We had a question. So we only had 8 minutes left. So very quickly, there's a question from Simona. She wants to know, how do you finance your projects? So maybe someone wants to answer that.
Yeah, I'll try to run through it really quickly. So right now, most of our budget this year, our budget is roughly 350,000 euros. Most of it comes from revenues from various municipalities and a few social organizations who basically pay that we provide the software and provide personal support. We have some funding from the German academic exchange program, I think, and we were formally publicly funded as well with like 2 part-time positions. So there are various, I think, opportunities to find funding. Also, private funding from foundations is always on our horizon, but we always try to find a business model, but are not like strictly tied to it. Sometimes there is just no business model to be made. In Germany, we do find that we most of the time we can find something, but otherwise we look for creative ways to finance our projects. Yeah.
For Soliguide, it's kind of the same. We are financed by local governments and municipalities to be able to build a database. The main difference is that we have 20 employees, I think much the same as Integrate, but our employees are mainly on the field, mainly with the database, and we have a small tech team.
For Reconnect, we work on a sale of license to those facilities, but it's based on the solidarity return price, which is adapted to the budget of the facility. But this is a small part of our revenue. The most part is public or private funding.
Okay, thank you. We also have a question from Jan. For Merci pour l'invite, we would like to know how do you check the volunteers so that the house is very safe for the women you host?
Yes, that's a very good question. We are checking. We call the people who are volunteers to host women, and we visit all the house and the apartment to be sure that the people are in a good initiative. I don't know how to say it. The people have a good. They are yes. I don't know how to say it. we call them and we visit all the apartment and the house to be sure that the volunteers are good.
Okay, thank you. We also have a question about human resources, and it's more about how you develop and attract talents. And the question from Marcus was more oriented about software developers. So maybe it's the question, I can ask the question to Victoria, Fritjof, and Coralie. How do you do to attract talents and to recruit them? And there's also a question about their salaries, if you pay them like a profit-oriented company.
You want me maybe to start? Today in Reconnect we have 3 software developers at full time. It is necessary because we are always improving the tool with the feedback of our partners, and I think it's not difficult to attract them because they do their usual work, but with a beautiful purpose, I think. And yes, the salary is the same for a same mission and the same experience they could have in other companies. But yes, I think it's not difficult to attract them.
It's kind of difficult for everyone to recruit developers. And I think for us too, but being able to serve a higher purpose, if I may say, is always something that's going to be nice for people. But developers are expensive, and that's if you're in the social sector or not, it does not change that much.
Yeah. If you work for a beautiful purpose, as Coralie said, then that is some you attract a certain kind of employee if you work in this field, and you may not attract a whole lot of others, but you want those special those people who share the same mindset and the same values, and then they might work for a little less than big tech, but with us, we try to be somewhat different. We want all of our team members to give the direction of our organization, of the project. So they do not only work for beautiful purpose, but that's the core. But they are heard, their voices are heard. They feel they have an impact on where the project is going, and then we also try to pay a competitive salary that enables you to found a family and provide for your family. But that's the eventual goal. But we work together with people with a certain mindset where money may not be the main driver. Yeah, I think that is something we all have in common.
Okay, thank you very much. So unfortunately, we don't have any time left. So I'm going to thank you very much, everyone, for this roundtable. That was really, really interesting. And personally, I learned a lot during this hour. And I would like to also thank the participants. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed this discussion. You can maybe link with the speakers, ask your questions, and also check the website, of course. So I wish you a really, really great day and end of week, and bye. Thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Have a good day.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.